So Bruce Mulhern asked me, what do you think of that guy up there? He's like in jeans and casual attire. I said, he's got game. He knows how to dress. And Bruce, in his proper suit, which, is kind of along my lines. And I go, Bruce, he's okay. And so after that event, I go, Bruce, Vince went on stage more than we did. Maybe we need to dress like Vince. So, and Bruce just gave me his look. So anyway, I have learned, it's not what you wear, it's what you do. You got to be comfortable with yourself.
I've took a lot of shit over the years over what I wear, but to that line, I've spoke at Fox and Roach a couple times, and the first time I go up there in holy jeans and crazy shirts, and I was telling them, and the first time I spoke is to the top tier agents, I'm like, it's okay to wear what you want, be yourself, be the unique individual you are, but give great service and communicate and build relationships with your clients. So Joan Doctor calls me back and says, we want you to come back the second time, but you cannot tell our agents that it's okay to wear jeans and dress like you.
Well,
so then I called Larry after that. He said, just ignore it, do whatever you want.
No, that's why, Bruce being such a proper man, and obviously I'm in a position thanks to him and with respect, but he looked at it, he goes, what do you think of that guy up there in jeans? And then I said, after the event, I said, he's on stage more than we are, so he's doing something right. So kudos to you, my friend.
Good to see you.
Same here, Vince. Hey, I heard you were in the Ozarks. Was it last week or?
Oh my God, it was crazy. We were down there for kids, and so we were mainly grilling out and stuff. But we went to eat twice on the lake, and the pools and bars down there were it was jammed. There was hundreds of people in a pool, and I'm like, this is crazy. Do they think in the restaurants, it's every other table, but you go 10 yards outside and there's a zillion people out there. It was unbelievable.
Well, Netflix called me and they said, hey, we heard this guy Vince is down in the Ozarks. We want to go film the next series of Ozarks.
Or you should have sent him down. There was some stuff to film this last weekend.
Just give us a minute or two, Vince. We'll jump on. I'm going to just quick introduction and then give a shout out to Amanda, our business consultant, and we'll turn it over to Victor, who's leading the call today with you, my friend. And he's doing an amazing job with the Rethink Council. And we also got Allie, who's awesome. We're lucky to have her on our team. So just give a minute or two, Vince, and we'll jump into it. Have some fun. I appreciate your help.
I appreciate it, man. Thank you very much.
Thanks. All right, we'll just get a few more to jump in.
Dennis, I always like to say that real estate agents are late for mostly everything except for listing presentations or property showings, right? So this would more likely be no exception. So generally with Zoom calls like this, for those of you who are on time, we take a couple of moments or so to let others jump on so they get the full spectrum of the talk today.
You got it.
So, yeah.
Absolutely. All right, Vic, I'm going to turn it over. So welcome, everybody. Keep it quick because the main show is Victor and Vince. But I'm going to turn it over to Amanda real quick. So Amanda, as always, thank you for your help. How have you been?
Been good, thank you. How's everybody here doing? Vince, good to see you again.
Yes. Yep. Oh, nice seeing you.
Good deal, good deal. So just a couple of quick things that I wanted to mention, and then I will mute myself and pass it on to Vic. First thing that I wanted to talk about to everybody that's on the call today is about our CIPS designation, which is a Certified International Property Specialist designation. It's a way for you to understand how to work with clients, especially with our global expansion, that are different from us. So how would you work with a client that's from Germany versus say, someone from Spain? The sessions, it's 5 sessions. It's through the National Association of Realtors. Yours truly is certified to teach that session. And actually, Vic, you were in, that's where I met you, was with Dennis at one of our CIPS training courses.
That's right.
So if you want more information on that, it's a great way for you to add to your resume, make you look that more professional with your clients, understand the way the international community works, and open up a stream of income that you probably hadn't thought about in the past. Secondly, I wanted to talk to you about Recharge. Our spring session is coming to a close. Keep your eyes out. Susie and Dennis and Allie will be sending you information on our next Recharge session over the summer. Great way to get 2 units of production that you probably would not have had if you had not taken our coaching session. And then lastly, Rethink, the Rethink Council. I got to tell you, big props to Vic. And thank you so much for Berkshire Hathaway Home Services, California Properties, Rethink, the local chapter, putting this all together. Vince, we appreciate you being here. We've got so much to learn, and I'm super excited. So I'm going to shut up and mute myself. Take it away, Vic. Thank you.
Thanks, Vic. Thank you. Thanks, Amanda and Vic. It's all yours, my friend. Be well and have fun. I'm paying attention and taking notes for Vince. So.
I appreciate that. Thanks, Dennis and Amanda. Yeah, you're right. We met at the CIPS class. We did a 5-week session at our Hacienda Heights branch, I believe. And that's where you and I initially met. And then we met along the way through BHHS and HSF training and things like that. So thanks for all the information. If you guys have not been participating in the Recharge program and you're considering yourself to be in real estate, if you haven't done that program, I don't know if that's true or not. You should really take the time to jump on that 5-week productivity challenge. It really pushes you and uses a lot of the tools HSF and BHHS provides for us. So I appreciate the intro. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Vic Quiroz, but nowadays my wife is calling me Quarantine Quiroz with this long hair and this beard that I'm growing. I'm here in downtown Los Angeles, and we don't have our barbershops or things like that open. So I'm doing my best, and I appreciate all the comments for those of you who know me with the beard and whatnot. So I do manage our downtown Los Angeles office for Berkshire Hathaway Home Services, California Properties. I've been with the company for going on 16 years. I was part of the National Rethink Council, and I'm currently the local chapter director for our council here in BHHS CA Props. The man I want to introduce to all of you on the line today, maybe you don't know the name because he's not here in California, but if you've been with the company and you've been to convention and you've been in tune with what's happening with Riz Media and the real estate networks across the country, you'll know who Vince Leisey is. And I had the pleasure of meeting Vince initially when I was on the National Rethink Council for Berkshire Hathaway. I think that was, 2014 or 15, Vince? I was coming in with some of the top agents under 40 years old. The threshold to join that council was pretty high. So I was surrounded by a lot of big names in real estate from across the country, and everybody was top producing agents. And Vince was the original sponsor. And he's the one who had the idea of bringing all of us together from across the country and around the nation to share ideas, to see what works in my market versus what works in Florida or Boston. And we made some good friendships and got some good ideas, and everybody got better. We brought back what we learned from the National Rethink Council to our respective brokerages, and we've applied it, and we think we've made a lot of difference in a lot of the people who've participated in our Rethink local chapter program. And if you've ever been a part of the Rethink local chapter program here in California, would you go ahead and just type your name in the chat box? Because it's amazing when we have our top 25 awards, every quarter or so, to see how many of the award winners have went through the Rethink chapter program, which is essentially based off of what Vince has together in Omaha, Nebraska at his branch. So Vince, I was out in Omaha in your office in 2016. That's when I got to visit you, got to see your fantastic facility, meet a lot of your top-notch agents. Brooke Delano, met her, she's fantastic. We still stay in touch. Megan Owens, and you guys had a really unique culture there, and it really works because, Vince, you guys are one of the top brokerages, top single offices in the entire network, right?
Yeah, I now have 3 offices, but out of the one office, the Village Building office that you visited, we did about 11,200 transactions last year, which I actually think is the most productive office in North America, all brands. But it's a big office, and it's an 81,000 square foot building. So we've got a lot of agents there. I think we're up to about 750 agents out of that office.
Imagine me coming from California to Omaha and seeing what they're doing there, right? And I'm just like, so Vince, tell them who you are, where you're from, your history in the network, things like that. Introduce yourself to those people who've never heard of you or have never met you before.
First of all, thank you to Dennis and Victor to have me on here. I'm honored and I appreciate it. And Victor's been a great source to brainstorm and mastermind with over the years. So it's been fun to get to know him better and better. Vince Leisey, I kind of was born into the business. Once I got out of college, my mother had started a brokerage business with 6 other people a couple of years before. So I started in sales for a number of years. She bought all those people out. A couple of years later, the company was continuing to lose money. And then I started buying into the business in the 90s. My mom, unfortunately, passed away in 2001 when I fully took over the business. And at that time, fundamentally, so how I think is, I'm like, I need to make sure that I'm serious about this business. So I love the real estate business. And the conclusion I came to really wasn't so much about the real estate business, but it was like, what was my goal in life? And my goal in life was to enrich the lives of others. And I believe that the real estate business gave me that vehicle to do that. And by enriching the lives of others, what do I mean? I mean that I believe that our legacy at the end of time, our success will not be based on the titles or the money or the influence or those type of things that we have in life. But it's, when we're gone, was there something that would be missing from other people's lives because we were a special part of that added some sort of value to them? And so I believe that the real estate business is a vehicle that allows us to do that. And I just tried to figure out how do we, as a very small brokerage back then, compete with much larger brokers. And so we tried to embrace a number of concepts, but one of them was teams. We have a lot of teams here. Two, I was really focused, which is why I started and pushed Berkshire Hathaway Prudential at the time so hard to start a millennial think tank or a young agent think tank, is that I think the future of our industry is young agents and learning from them. Millennials are purchasing more homes than anybody in the United States today. And whether we've been in the business a long time and whether we're a millennial or not, we can learn from each other. So I think that having the ability to collaborate, and our whole organization is really based on culture and masterminding. And that's all that the Rethink Council was to me, Victor, was putting people together to mastermind, to idea share, to collaborate, to brainstorm with each other. And with that entire attitude of abundance, which is what we base our entire organization on, which is how do we bring people together, knowing that you guys are competitors with each other, and get you to share with each other, to encourage each other, to help each other, and to learn from each other with the fundamental thought process that the best is yet ahead, that you need to embrace risk. And what our people have learned in our organization, I think people from the Rethink Council have learned also, Victor, hopefully you agree with that, is that when people come together, even as competitors in the same market, and they openly share what they're doing, how they're doing it, what's working, what's not working with each other, that everybody becomes better in that process. Because we own 40%, we have 40% of the Omaha metropolitan market. I said, but there's 60% of the market left for us to take, guys. And I don't have any single mastermind group that has over 2% of the market. So I'm like, if we help each other and learn from each other, we will all become better. So to me, that attitude of abundance is an absolutely positive necessity to have as a mindset to continue to move forward. And so that's kind of who we are, is we've really kind of built our entire organization on having an unbelievable culture where people want to come into our environment, where it's filled with energy, excitement, enthusiasm. And it'll be interesting as we come out of these times, is that physical space and culture as important as it was in the past? And I would argue that it has, and I've had a number of conversations with some people lately that all believe long-term physical space and culture will still be critical for people. But that collaboration, mastermind groups and stuff like that is critical. And Victor, I don't know if you guys have mastermind groups there or not outside of the Rethink group that you have, but that's something we really encourage people to do, because, and we put like type production people together and those type of things, kind of like the National Rethink Council was.
Yeah, Vince, you touched on a lot of points there, and we're going to get to all of them individually, as a matter of fact. And that's the reason why we're here today. We're here to collaborate with, almost 100+ agents already here on the live cast. We know more are going to join. And this is what this is about. We're here to share ideas. And hopefully you guys and girls listening have your pad and pen out. I do believe that this is going to be recorded so you can come back, but nothing's like listening and taking notes right there. It really sinks in. And so get your pad and pens out. We're going to be touching on some topics here. And Vince kind of covered all of it right now, but we're going to be touching on it in detail in just a moment. So Vince, again, I want to repeat. So you've done almost 11,000 transactions out of your offices there in Omaha, right? The most
out of the Omaha office, yeah.
Okay.
Last 2019.
Okay, now how many agents total was that again?
So our total organization is now 950 people. The Village Point location that you were at is 725 to 750.
Okay, so if I'm doing the math, right, which I am, okay, just to put this in context for people, because I want them to understand how important this is. This needs to sink in. 11,000 transaction sides, okay, divided by 950 agents. You said that's roughly 11 and a half deals each agent. every agent is averaging 11 and a half deals. So for those of you on the live cast right now, take these notes, because if you want to get to an average of 11 and a half deals or greater, you're going to have to implement some of these things that we're talking about. You can't just let this information sit on paper and not implement it, right? Having the best ideas in the world is fantastic, but if you don't take action, who cares, right? It doesn't matter. So thanks for sharing the production, Vince. I know anybody would be super impressed. And again, I'm really grateful for you to contribute your time today. So let's get into it, right? We're here talking with Vince Leisey, broker owner of BHHS Ambassador Real Estate, Omaha, Nebraska. And they're closing so many transactions. I believe it starts at the top, right? I believe any large organization, it starts from the top, from the leadership, and then works its way down, okay? Obviously, you're a proven leader. And what are your thoughts on leadership? What should our agents be expecting right now, for them to lead their own business? Because in a way, every independent contractor on this call right now is the leader of their own business, right? They set the start time. They set the lunch time. They set the end time. They figure, are they going to work Saturdays and Sundays? Or are they going to take one day off a week, right? They're the leaders of their own business. Give me some thoughts on leadership, especially now with us coming out of this COVID-19 crisis. Where should the headspace be?
Victor, and actually remind me, shoot me a text after this. I've been doing some collaborating with Seth Madison, Ryan Estes, Inky Johnson. They're all national speakers. I don't know if you guys know those. We actually, Seth Madison invited a doctor that was a professor of psychology at UCLA that now is doing business stuff, talking about this exact stuff. To me, what we should be expecting as leaders, and I preach what you're saying right there, is every single one of you is a leader of a business. It may be a business of one, you may be a team that's a business of 15, I don't know. But you're all the leaders of your own businesses. You have to make decisions. And the bad part of that is, if things aren't going well, and you say, well, I've got a bad boss, unfortunately, you got to look in the mirror because you're your own boss, right? So to me, the most important thing right now of everyone I'm talking to, and the thing that I'm preaching daily to my agents, is we've got to communicate. We got to communicate more often, with more frequency and more clarity than we ever have before. So us as leaders and managers need to make sure we're touching base with you guys, because we're not physically seeing you on a daily or weekly or monthly basis right now. We need to be reaching out to you through Zoom calls, through social media, through phone calls, through text, through whatever. And you need to be reaching out. And we're telling every one of our people, everyone in your database, not just people that you're thinking that you're going to be working with this year or current buyers or sellers, everyone in your database, you need to be reaching out to, I believe, with a personal touch, a phone call, preferably, or a text, at least once a month right now, and excluding everything that you'd be doing on social media, stuff like that. And it needs to be with more of an I care attitude. What we're finding is the people that are reaching out to everybody right now with an I care attitude, and they're sincere in that, real estate happens to come up. Because people want to know, how's this going to affect the value of their house? How's this going to, real estate is directly related to the economy. How's this going to affect the economy? And so you're going to have your opportunity in there and talking with them to talk about real estate. And at that point in time, you can talk about what's going on in your market. You can talk about the incredible buying power they have with low interest rates. But the one thing that we're finding when we're talking, because we need them to trust us in this process, is many people are saying, is the market going to crash? Is this like 2007, 2008? And so I'm trying to give them some talking points saying, in my mind, what happened in 2007 and 8 and moving forward is not at all like what's happening today. And now only time is going to tell what's going to happen to the valuation of houses. But the bottom line is, in 2007, 8, interest rates were 6%. Today, we're looking at interest rates at 3.5 and below. And in our market right now, on a 30-year mortgage, it's 3 1/8 to 3 1/4. At that point in time, we had higher inventory, and in fact, we started having a lot of houses going to foreclosure. We have crazy low inventory right now. We don't have enough new construction being built. We have an undersupply of houses. So coming into this, we had the stock market at all-time high, unemployment at an all-time low. There's just the economy was really clicking along and was strong. What caused the crash of 2007, 8, 9 was the real estate market and the mortgage market. So it was economic conditions that caused that. This was caused by a physical thing. Our health caused us to have an economic issue here. And so once we come out of this, I tend to believe that house prices will continue to be stable. If there's a market that runs the risk of maybe having a downward turn a little bit, it may be that upper end executive market, but I even think that will be stable. And in our market where we've not had the stay at home where you guys had, I feel for you guys. I gave a speech in Michigan and Pennsylvania. They've also been on lockdown. They can't go out and do showings or listing presentations either. But in our market, it's been more of a normal market. We're actually seeing things sell above list price, multiple offers. There's a frenzy of activity wanting to take place. And so I would educate people when they're talking about, our price is going to get devalued. Is this like 2007, 8, 9? To inform them for these reasons, I don't believe that it is. But to me, from a leadership perspective, Victor, nothing is more important than us communicating frequently with clarity and showing value to our agents and our agents to their clients.
Vince, I really liked what you said in regards to having agents look themselves in the mirror, right? You're your own boss. You're the leader of your own business, even if you're a single agent. But it's your responsibility each and every day to go out there and prospect and look for business, right? We wake up broke and unemployed every day. You got to look at yourself in the mirror. As one of our trainers, a lot of our agents know, Ronnie Velasquez likes to say in class, he likes to say, you can lie to yourself, you can lie to your wife, you can lie to your kids, right? But it's hard to do that when you're lying to yourself, It's really hard to look in the mirror and say, I gave it all I had today, when you know you didn't, right? You can say it, but you know it on the inside, your heart of hearts, you didn't. So hopefully all of you on the live cast, take that to heart. Be a leader in your business. You are the leader. Be the leader for your sphere of influence in your neighborhood, right? Your geographic farm and all your prospective clients. So Vince, I saw, and I want to congratulate you on this. A while back, you had a fantastic article written about your office in Riz Media. And we were talking about, office culture. And I believe the photo that was on there was you guys had like a little a beer keg scooter cooler or something like that. And your agents are celebrating these closings, right? And, everybody's prosperous. And it was a very good vibe. Now, being with the COVID-19 pandemic happening and, the social distancing in California, we're starting to reopen slowly, right? How do you see the culture, in-office culture changing now that this pandemic has hit? And what do you believe is going to happen inside the office space itself moving forward?
My biggest investments are commercial office buildings. So this is something that I'm trying to spend a whole lot of time figuring out for not just real estate, but for everybody, how this is going to affect things. I tend to believe, so before I had my call yesterday with Seth, Ryan, Inky, and this group, I text two good friends of mine that are CEOs of big companies. And one of them gave an analysis. Jerry Krause, he's the CEO of Tenaska. I think it's the 25th or 6th largest privately held company in the United States. He said, we're going to go back to brick and mortar. He said, a culture can maintain it to be a good culture for 3, maybe 6 months. But at the end of the day, we need human interaction. That ultimately, at the end of the day, we need to bring people back together to collaborate, to be sponges, to learn from each other, that face-to-face human interaction will create a better culture with more energy and excitement than it was before. And I've said on some calls, I said, listen, we have 300-400 people on this call. If we were there in person with 150 or 200 people, we would have more energy, excitement, and enthusiasm with less than half the people in that physical space being together. While Zoom calls are a great way for us to communicate today, long-term, I don't think we can maintain unbelievable cultures. With that being said, I tend to believe that there's going to be some people staying at home more often than they have in the past. We've learned through technology, through Zoom, through other things, how do we communicate in a different way? And we need to use this as a vehicle to help us build relationships to be stronger and more meaningful as we move forward than we have in the past. But I think that, we're going to encourage our people, and we've not ever totally shut down. I've got probably 25-30% of my staff working at the office, maybe 15-20% of the agents are popping in and out, and that's primarily, honestly, to make a copy or pick up mail or something like that. But Victor, we're going to encourage our people, over the next couple months to slowly but surely just start popping in periodically to the office so we can interact with each other. And the thing that concerns me that this doctor said yesterday on this call is in, is like the studies are showing already the level of stress, anxiety, more attempted suicides is higher than we've ever seen going through this thing right now, that people need human interaction. So I think personally, to maintain an unbelievable culture, we've got to physically get together. You get together with your clients for a coffee or lunch and do a face-to-face. no ifs, ands, or buts about it. It's going to be a more effective, meaningful talk and way to communicate than if you do it by text or phone or even Zoom. So
I like that you said that, Vince. I like that you said that right there in regards to the clients, because we're going to talk about, the face-to-face, belly-to-belly interaction with the clients in just a second. But, let's get back to the office culture itself. I am in complete agreement with you. I am a big fan of live instruction classes. When I was in university, if it was an online class, I would hear that ESPN chime in the background, right? And I'd just, oh, wow, I'd lose, my focus and attention. So having to be in person, attention focused on the group, the speaker, the talk, that does make a difference in my opinion. And, I'm in total agreement with you. I think Dennis would feel the same way. But now that this is happening, I think we're going to see a lot more people doing hybrids, where we're going to have the live meetings and also have the live casts to keep people connected without actually coming in. But I'm in agreement with you. I think that can only last for so long. People need to see each other in person, and in regards to agent to agent, managers to agent, coaches to, and their teams, we need to see each other to have that connection, to feel that bond and keep that rapport strong,
Victor, two things on that real quick. One is just studying of human behavior is when people are working from home, there are just way too many distractions, right? You're right. There's the TV to distract you. I just had a dog walk by me. There's a dog, there's kids. You can take a walk, you can take a nap, you can do the dishes. There's too many distractions. And unfortunately, the vast majority of us are too easily distracted. We need to be put in the right environment, right? With positive influences where we can learn and be sponges and encourage each other to be most productive. Ultimately, can we do that for short periods of time? Yes. The second part of that is we understand that we're going to be moving into a new world. And I don't know what it's going to look like. Why we're going to encourage people to come in for sales meetings, to come in for training classes. We are probably for an extended period of time going to figure out how do we have people physically there, yet have a digital part of this where people can watch in on a Zoom class or online or something like that, so they don't have to come in there. Because not everyone's going to be safe or comfortable coming into an office environment for a period of time here. So the next 6 to 12 months are going to be interesting times for us, and we're going to go through a learning curve. And we're gonna have to continue to change things throughout that process.
I've had some conversations with friends around the country who also, are involved in running teams in their offices, and we were talking about the idea of doing hybrid meetings where, we're encouraging our agents to come in. But then also sometimes, agents, especially our part-time agents, they have responsibilities with family or their current job, or maybe our full-time agents have an appointment that they need to be at, an inspection or something like that. Having the hybrid meeting with it all, digitized and broadcast live, they can put a little headpiece in like this, be at a home inspection, or picking up their kids from school, and they can still stay connected. So as things open back up, of course we'd want them to come back in, but we do see the value of doing it in both ways, if that makes sense, right?
Absolutely.
And one of the things you touched on it, and I want to get into this now because I wanted to talk with you a little bit about lead generation. Right? That's always a hot topic with our agents. What are we doing to generate leads that drive the sales of our business, that allow the commission checks to come in? It all starts with lead generation, right? So you mentioned earlier how we're going to be interacting with each other in the office space, but how do you think we're going to be interacting with our clients moving forward? Because there's a lot of people in real estate that really believe social media or, digital marketing, things like that, are just extra bells and whistles, right? It's all about the belly-to-belly, face-to-face interaction. And I believe that because, our sphere of influence, they're our sphere because we spend a lot of time with them. We know their families, we know their history, we know what they like to do. We spend time with them as friends. We're not just their agents, right? We're their forever agents, but we also have real relationships with these people. So how do you see lead generation, social, sphere of influence, marketing and lead generation working moving forward? I mean, do you see any changes there?
I think that, first of all, a statement that I've said for years that I don't think has changed through this time is that I believe social media, technology, innovation are all nothing more, very important, nothing more, and today more than ever, but they're nothing more than vehicles to create opportunities to open doors to build and nurture stronger relationships as we move forward. So I believe, first and foremost, our database, our center of influence, will continue to be the best lead generation source we have. And we're going to be able to get together one-on-one for coffees or lunches or get-togethers or something like that. So that hurdle is going to be knocked down, and we're going to have the ability to do that. With that being said, we've got to learn from what's taking place here, right? Because everyone's going to have a different mindset. I have many people saying to me, you know what, I'm not going to go to a restaurant for an extended period of time here. So different people have different thoughts. So I think we've got to figure out, how do we utilize video? And Victor, you're as good as anybody I know in the country when it comes to social media, video, and technology, and how to use those vehicles to, in my opinion, enhance the relationship building process that we're in. So in my mind, we've got to figure out how to better utilize those things to more effectively and efficiently communicate with our people. And I think we've got to communicate. Studies have come out over the last couple of years, millennials and then all generations, that says, millennials say we want to stay in touch with clients on an ongoing basis. We expect to see them periodically. We expect to hear from them periodically. So we've got to continue to have touches with them on an ongoing basis. But with that being said, I think if you start relying solely on social media technology and innovation as your vehicle to stay connected and to generate leads, you're going to lose the most important part of it, which is the belly-to-belly, the face-to-face. It may mean you have to make more phone calls. And for millennials, they don't love phone calls. But it's a more meaningful conversation to have a phone call with somebody than it is to shoot a text to them or to do other things. So lead generation, in my mind, is a couple of different pools, right? Adam Briley and I was talking, Victor, a half hour ago. You know Adam, he was on the retail council.
I do know Adam, yeah. Adam has a pretty cool office, and I remember his space uniquely because he has one of the very first barn doors that slides across in his office. You don't open the door left to right like traditional. It's a wooden barn door you slide open, and then there's Adam Briley. Yeah.
Yes, it is. And now Adam focuses on a lot of Zillow leads, but he's spending $15,000 a month on that. The vast majority of people can't do that. And I will tell you what I've seen with online lead generation, that it's really go big or go home. And so I'm saying dip your foot in it, be a preferred agent, maybe spend a little bit, but Adam tries to do that for his new agents. And then as they become more established agents, then he switches them off of lead generation that he's handing off to them to build and nurture those relationships. Do client parties, get face-to-face, do handwritten notes, do those type of things. Utilize social media and technology to stay in touch with those guys. Now, here's one of the things, and Victor, because I've been psychotic about this for years. I want you to have client appreciation parties at least a couple times a year with your people. That's going to be a challenge over the next 6 to 12 months for us, I think. We are internally within our organizations. We have grill outs in our parking lot with 400 or 500 people show up. We're not going to probably be able to do that this summer. The call I had a couple of days ago with my manager is this week, our primary goal is to figure out how do we start having get-togethers with some of our vendors in smaller groups? How do we start having new agent get-togethers? How do we start having top agent get-togethers? We are working currently right now on how do we break these down into smaller groups, maybe having them at my house around the pool or something like that, because we're not going to be able to do those, I don't think, in restaurants. Client appreciation parties, I think you guys are going to have to get creative with those things. You're not going to be able to invite 400 people and have 200 people show up, or 200 and have 80 people show up. We're going to have to do those in smaller groups, but I would not stop doing those. I would still try to figure out how do you do those things and make those meaningful. And the thought we had just today is on a new agent party. We've had 180 new agents join us over the last 12 months. We usually invite new agents and top producers together. We'd invite 300 people. We can't do that even with 50% of them showing up. So we're saying, okay, maybe we do 2 parties and we invite so many from 5 to 6:30 and so many from 6:30 to 8. But we're gonna have to get strategic in how we do this. But I would not stop doing those things that we know for 100% certainty that have worked in the past. We're gonna have to figure out how to do them differently and better. So online lead generation to me is relationships is the business we're in. We're in the relationship building business. You need people to like you, believe in you, have confidence in you, and trust you. Those are the 4 traits to having a great relationship. That's absolutely essential. But we need to utilize.
Hey Vince, can you repeat those 4 things again for those people taking notes? What are the 4 things again?
I'm going to give you a quick story of why these are important if you bear with me for 3 minutes here. And Seth, Ryan Estes is who I got this from, who's part of this collaboration group that he does. And he's rebranded the Dallas Cowboys. He works with Microsoft, Tiffany's and stuff like that. He says that we're in the relationship building business, which is what I believe. He says there's 4 traits that are absolutely essential to have a great relationship: that people like you, that people believe in you, that people have confidence in you, and that people trust you. Now I'm going to ask, I don't see everybody. I'm an iPad, so I only see 9 of you. Victor, I'm going to ask you for a show of hands if you can see the majority of people. I'm going to ask you what you guys think is the most, and raise your hand when you think this is the most, what's the most important initial trait? So what do you think the most important initial trait is? And so hold on 1 second. I'm going to say the word. So the 4 words again are that they like you, believe you, confidence in you, or trust you. So when I say that word, if you think it's the most important initial trait, raise your hand. So who thinks like is the most important initial trait? Who thinks that they believe in you is the most important initial trait? Who believes that having confidence in you is the most important trait? Who believe that trusting you is the most important initial trait? Now, I can't see everybody, but I will tell you, usually 70 to 80% of people say trust is the most important initial trait. Is that how it showed up there, Victor?
It seems like it, yeah. Majority of people are thumbs up or they're clapping their hands up. We have more than 90 plus people who are don't have video on. So I have a bunch of
I'm seeing a lot of things pop in here. Trust. So I'm going to guess. I've done this 50 plus times across the country. I've never once seen trust not be the answer that people think is most common, and it's not. Likability is, and so I want to, because the reason I spend so much time looking at organizational behaviors of successful organizations and human behavior is because it helps us become better prepared to interact with people. Likability is the most important initial trait. I want you to think about this, right? To believe in you, to have confidence in you, and to trust you are traits that take time to establish. Likability is that initial connection that you can do with people. If people like you, you now have the opportunity to have them believe in you, to have confidence in you and trust you. Trust in our business, because we're dealing with such a big dollar asset, may be the most important in trait. But if someone trusts you and they don't like you, you don't get a second chance. If they like you, they'll usually give you a second and third chance if you do a good job of apologizing with them, right? So an apology needs to be, I'm sorry, it's my fault. What can I do to make it right? It needs to be a sincere apology. The last lecture, I'm drawing a blank, Randy Posh. I would watch that video if you guys have not. Randy Posh, about 10 years ago on Oprah, there's probably a 10-minute video on Randy Posh, the last lecture, talking about apology. He was a college professor that passed away with cancer, but we need to apologize. But I'm gonna use an example. So I go out on a date. I don't see enough people here. I go out on a date with one of the girls. Pick a girl that you see there on the top of the screen.
Ooh, Sandy Chicarella.
Okay, so we go on a date. You go home and you call your best friend and you say, I trust that guy, but I don't like him. Are we going on a second date? I don't think so. Now you go home, you say, I don't know if I trust him at all, but I really like him. Are we going on a second date? You're going on a second date. The bottom
For the
line
record, Sandy's busting up. I can see her video there. She is laughing hard. She's turning tomato red.
The bottom line is likability is that initial connection that's important to you. Now here's where we are kind of stupid in how we interact with people. What's the very first question asked to people in a social setting? This is not a trick question. It's what do you do for a living? Now Gallup every single year does a poll in the United States and worldwide asking people, do they like what they do for a living? The last survey I saw, 71% of Americans, 85% of people worldwide do not like what they do for a living. So you've now just asked a question to basically 7 out of 10 people answering a question, talking about something they don't even enjoy. Would it not be a much better question? What are your hobbies, right? What do you love doing when you're not working? Get them engaged in having a conversation about something that they're passionate about and excited about. So these stupid little things. So Mark Brace in Michigan, I was talking to him. Yeah, I was talking to him and a couple guys up there, and they're like, we heard you say that once. Like, we now use that in the listing presentations. We go into the listing presentations, we talk about, likability and how important it is and all these type of things. So, just think about these little things as you're interacting and building relationships with people, because we're in the relationship building business and we need to understand how to most effectively build relationships with people. So that really has nothing to do with anything other than I really think it is an important thing for us to understand in our business of building relationships, that we need people to like us, to give us the opportunity to get those other traits to be established.
Vince, there's a book out there for those of you who read or those of you who listen to Audible. It's by, I think it's Leal Lowndes. But I know the book is called How to Talk to Anybody, 92 Mind Tricks or something like that. And it's a little book that was recommended to me by a friend. And in that book, they talk about, ways to, ice break, be the icebreaker conversations. And asking somebody what they do for a living is way at the bottom of the list. I'm in total agreement with you. And I think most of the people on the live cast listening right now would agree. And the way this little book talks about framing that, or reframing it actually, is to ask the question, so what do you do with most of your free time? Right? What do you do with most of your free time? And that gets them talking about things that they enjoy to do, right? And you never know what somebody does for a living, right? And in our business sometimes, and every agent's probably been there, you don't have to raise your hands or say anything, but have you ever judged a book by its cover? You met a client and said they were all cash, and you looked at the car they came in or the way they were dressed and thought to yourself, yeah, right. Well, maybe that person was independently wealthy and retired. Maybe they don't have a job. Maybe they do with their free time is, philanthropy work or charity work or things like that. So I love the way that you said that. Let's not talk about what they do for a living. Let's ask them what they do with their free time. Right. So that's very cool. I like the way that you said that. And hopefully you guys caught up on the lead generation stuff here. Now, Vince, I'm going to go back to lead gen for just a second. Okay.
Yes.
We're talking about, certain things that we can't do, like client parties. We can't do that stuff anymore. Now, of course, we can still do our digital marketing, social media, things like that. We can do mailers, which, aren't necessarily that effective unless you're, dripping for a very, very long time. But what about, door knockers? Our door knockers are really going to have a hard time doing this, right? Going door to door, doing community events and outreach and things like that. It's going to be a little bit tougher. They're going to have to find a way to adapt and move forward. But I guess the question that I want to get to now is, now that we're coming out of this COVID, right? And we have all these different ways to generate leads. Those of you in our downtown office know we have a little book in our office called 99 Ways to Generate Leads, right? And it's a great tool with out of the box ideas. What are some things right now, or some systems right now, Vince, that you think agents may want to consider shying away from? We have a chance to reset our market, right? Reset our business coming out of this COVID. If our agents are out there spending money on their systems, is there any systems in particular you think they should really invest in or maybe divest from?
I would tell you, first of all, we all know everyone needs a CRM system, right? Having that contact management database, to me is the foundation of what's going to help you grow your business. It's going to help you be more effective and efficient managing that. So that's the first thing everyone needs to have, Victor. And we have some of those free through the network. One of the things but I don't think there's any one thing. Now, I'll tell you, we're very big on AdWords, and not just the free 1 week thing, but we've got lots of people using AdWords to farm neighborhoods or to farm their database right now. And we're finding with some success, those people that are farming their database, as long as they're changing that ad regularly, we feel like they're getting some traction from that. Door knocking is dead. I will tell you, because we've been able to go out and physically, we can't go door knocking because it's offensive to people, is we have a thing, somebody on Adam Bradley's team that started 2-3 years ago called the shitty letter. And why is it a shitty letter? And Victor, I'll send you a copy of that if you send me an email or text and remind me to. It's a handwritten note saying, I sold this house at 123 A Street, and I have an additional 4 or 5 people that would love to buy in your neighborhood. The problem is we don't have anybody selling houses. If you or someone in the neighborhood that's interested in selling your house, please reach out to me. And if you didn't sell a house, or you just have buyers for a specific neighborhood, send that handwritten note with a handwritten thing to that neighborhood, and just say, I have a buyer or buyers looking in your neighborhood. There's not enough listings out there. Do you know anybody do you know anybody that's interested? And I'll send you an example of that letter. And amazingly, over the last month, we have had because we have a shortage of listings, because a lot of people went to the sidelines not wanting to list during this. We can't door knock, but the shitty letter has been a crazy effective vehicle for us lately. Just listed, just sold, those type of things. So we're going to have to change our entire mindset. I don't have any real answers on this, Victor, but the CRM system to me is the first thing that you've got to have a system on. I think you've got to be utilizing some sort of social media platform, and Riz Media has that social media platform, which automatically free. We'll send out once a week for you. You can expand upon that. I think that's a tool that we're pushing internally within our organization quite a bit, was the Riz Media social media platform. So those are some of the Berkshire Hathaway friendly ones. But to me, the most important thing of all of this is to put a system in place where you've got a schedule and you're time blocking out uninterrupted, hour and a half, 2 hours a day, to be reaching out to clients in a meaningful way that's going to help build and nurture your business.
Now, Vince, I'm going to go back to looking in the mirror right now, and I'm not going to ask anybody to unmute themselves or raise their hands, but can you really look at yourself in the mirror, ladies and gentlemen? If you're agents, not our managers, of course, but our agents, can you look at yourself in the mirror and say you did 2.5 hours of lead generation yesterday? Okay. Did you do that today? Right? You are the leader of your own business. And if you are saying no to yourself that I have not done, not even 1 hour of lead generation, it's time to come out of this. Okay. You got to get back to business, get back to basics and do what we can do. Right. So CRM is fantastic. You were mentioning CRM platforms. We don't really care, Vince, which CRM they use, right? As long as they use it. Right?
Exactly.
So, and then you had mentioned the Riz Media social resource. For those of you not aware, if you go to your BHHSresource.com, the resource center, you go to, I believe it's marketing resource. And inside the marketing resource, there's going to be a little tab that says social media. Okay. Hello. Click that tab. It's going to take you to the Riz Media link, and you can set up your weekly free social media posting. And if you want them to take over your social media for the entire year, 7 days a week, posting on your LinkedIn, your Twitter, and your Facebook. It doesn't connect to Snapchat or Instagram at the moment, but for those three, you can do that for less than $1 a day. I believe it's $310 or maybe $299 or something like that. Maybe if Ali or Susie's on the line right now, or anybody else who knows how much the social media resource annual program costs, go ahead and type that in the chat box. But I'm currently using it right now, Vince. I had an assistant marketer who was working with me for a little while, and as the COVID happened, I furloughed him for a little bit. And what I did was I invested in the social media marketing resource platform, and I'm going to bring my assistant back, but he's no longer going to do that social media job, because he's going to do other things that are more important, that are bringing dollar revenue in, that the Riz Media is already doing for me. So,
and Victor, I think if I recall correctly, the AdWorks for your database, and we recommend that you get 500 or 1,000 people in that database. They were running a special last year. I don't know where it's at now, but it was less than $800 a year to do your database. Now, if you do that, we're finding the people that yield the greatest results are going in to their marketing department, or they're changing that ad out regularly. You don't want it to be the same ad over and over. But if you put in the email address of a database of 500-600 people plus, people are out there seeing you. And Megan Owens is an example who's doing that. And she said she met someone in open house, threw them in there, and the next thing she knew, that guy's brother got referred to her. And she had not even done a deal with that guy yet. But he said, I met you, you kept popping up on my screen when I'm searching ESPN or CNN or Fox News or whatever they're searching, and said, you know what, why don't you call her? So those little things all work by themselves. They're not enough without the relationship building part of it, but those are all different little things, and we've got to be doing a number of things, I think, to continue to attract business right now.
Yeah, I really like the AdWorks platform, the social media, or the sphere of influence marketing they have.
That's what I'm talking about.
It is dirt cheap. If you guys and girls on the live cast have not looked into the AdWorks platform, they have something new for Berkshire Hathaway agents. Go to marketing resource, click on AdWorks, okay, and it'll take you to the link and show you all the different programs. You can upload, as Vince said, your entire database to AdWorks, and whether they're on ESPN.com, Yahoo, AOL, Facebook, your ads will pop up for just your sphere of influence. If you provide their email address, AdWorks will contact them. It's a fantastic tool. I'm currently using that as well as part of my digital marketing campaign for my sphere of influence. And I also do the same thing for a geographic farm. And for those of you wondering about the cost, I see on the chat here, our superstar, Ali, is posting all the prices up there. And a special shout out to Ali. She always helps us out. She's our number 2 with our Rethink local chapter. And everybody, Say hi to Allie. We love Allie. Okay. So let's get back to this here, Vince. So we talked about a lot of different things, right? So I believe this from my heart of hearts that in our company here at Berkshire Hathaway Home Services, California Properties, okay, what Bruce Mulhern set up and what we're moving forward with, I believe it in my heart of hearts, we have the right leadership in place at the top. Okay. We have some fantastic leadership. We have some awesome managers. We have some very, very smart and energetic and engaging trainers. Our leadership at the top is there. We're going to be, making sure that the new rules for opening up business and doing business safely, not only in our office spaces, but in the field is up to par, right? So we're going to get used to that. We're talking about our agents revamping and, if you will, retooling their systems for their business coming out of this COVID. So the economy is reopening and all this stuff is happening. What would you say to an agent right now who is going through all these things? What would you say to them about their mindset and how they need to approach this as we come out of this pandemic and we slowly get back into our everyday real estate business? What would you say to that agent?
I'll be honest with you, mindset, and I mentioned earlier that there's more people with stress and anxiety than we've had ever, right? It's your mindset, a positive mindset is probably more important than we've ever had. And so the very first thing is when people are working from home, what I'm first off starting is you need to start your day as if you're going to work. You need to get up and shower and get ready and act like you're going to work. Okay. You can't treat this thing as a different thing. And to me, it always starts with a morning routine. You've heard Gino talk about his meds, right? Meditation, sleep, diet, exercise.
Yeah, it's meditation, exercise, diet. Yes, and sleep.
Yeah. And so to me, the morning routine is absolutely essential if you're going to have a productive day, and it's more important than ever. And so to me, I don't care if it's prayer, if it's exercise, if it's listening. I love listening to Darren Daily, if it's watching inspirational videos, whatever it is that you need to do to get yourself in that right mindset, you've got to do that today. And the second part of that is that you've got to have a disciplined schedule. And if you don't have the right mindset, you're not going to have the disciplined schedule. Those two things go hand in hand. I hate to keep quoting Ryan Estes, but I've been on so many calls with some of these guys lately. Ryan Estes said, I'm going to prepare for the worst. And I've always said, prepare for the worst and hope for the best. He says, right now, I'm going to prepare for the worst and I'm going to work for the best. He says, I'm going to work and not hope for anything. He says, because I've got to outwork everybody else. And so I think that's got to be the mindset you got to have. You got to say, listen, I'm prepared for the worst. I've got to do things different than I got to change things, but I got to outwork everybody else. A survey just came out that said leaders are working 3 hours a day more than they were prior to this because it's harder to manage this process. We're having to work differently. That's just not sustainable. That's the other reason I believe we've got to get to a point where we're getting back into an office space for the vast majority of people. So to me, how do you do that mindset? Well, part of it is be part of a mastermind group, collaborate with other people, have someone to hold you accountable and stuff like that. We're wired weird, but it's not that we need to know what to do. We all know what to do to be productive. Every one of you knows enough things to be productive. The problem is and I think it's easier today. It's so easy for us to procrastinate, to make up excuses, to not do the things we need to do. And why I always say do uninterrupted, put in your schedule uninterrupted things and make that part of mindset is creating habits, good habits. Now it depends on who you talk to, but I think most people would agree you've got to go about 60 days in a row of doing something for it to become a habit. Doesn't matter if it's exercise or a work habit. Create a habit where you do things uninterrupted, because when you start and stop things, it could take you 3, 4, 5 times longer to get the same thing done. Then all of a sudden you're working too many hours in a day because you're not effective and efficient at what you're doing. So to me, Victor, the whole question on mindset starts first thing in the morning. When you wake up, do something to put yourself in the right mindset to make sure you have a productive day. And then it's followed up with make sure you have a system and a schedule in place. And that system and schedule has got to have business growth, revenue generating, activities in it, prospecting activities. And they've got to be uninterrupted. And if you can do that on a regular basis, you're going to be productive. But don't let yourself get into a mindset where it's poor me, because the only person you're hurting in that process is yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that, Vince. Mindset, morning routine, having the strength to build out your schedule. Actually, something that we do, that we try to coach our agents up on, and not everybody does it. Of course, they're independent contractors, but we try to remind everybody, and we're going to do that now, is look at your week on Sunday. Take 30 minutes on Sunday. Look at your week. Let's see what that looks like. Plan out the most important, action items that you want to accomplish. Put them in a rigid, structured calendar for yourself. And then you got to have the discipline to follow that calendar, right? I mean, the thing about this occupation, this career, is that you're able to create your own schedule. Well, for those of you new agents, have you realized it's also a downfall as well? Because once you leave the office space and the training, and you know what to do, as you mentioned, Vince, they know what to do. We've trained them. Our managers and our trainers are fantastic, or else they wouldn't be in this position, right? So they know what to do, but when they're left to their own devices, are they going to take action? They have to have the willpower to do so. So I really appreciate, what you're saying there. We're almost done with it, okay, Vince, but I want to pick your brain on a couple of just small things real quick, rapid fire. Market forecasts, right? And I know you're heavily invested in commercial real estate. So let's talk about, very briefly, what you think commercial space is going to be doing around the country, in urban markets and even suburban markets. What is your forecast for commercial right now?
My forecast on commercial is that, first of all, no one should be out building new office buildings over the next 5 years. Retail, I think, is dead. I would not want to invest in retail. I think there will be a downward trend as leases come up for commercial tenants. I don't think it's unreasonable to expect that 20 to 25% less space gets released. So I think it's going to be the B+, A- plus locations that will win in office space. Location matters in residential. Location matters in commercial. So I don't think office space will die, because I think many companies will find out what we're talking about. To have great cultures, you need a physical space of bringing people together to interact, to collaborate, to encourage each other. But I think this forced environment will change the mindset of many people, and they will look at things and say, okay, are there certain parts of our business of people that we don't need to bring back? Do we need HR in the office? Do we need accounting in the office? There are probably certain parts of our businesses that we could slim back and cut back our office spaces. I had a conversation yesterday with someone saying that they're talking about trying to find another company to do shared spaces where, Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, this company's in the space, and Tuesdays, Thursdays in that space. CEOs are starting to have different conversations than they ever have before. And another CEO told me, I'm spending $2.7 million a year on facilities. What if I took half of that and put the other half into R&D? So commercial space, I think, will get beat up across the country, 20-25% over the next 3 to 5 years. I don't think there's any doubt about there will be a downturn in that.
Okay, I appreciate that perspective. We'll see what happens with that. Now, let's switch gears a little bit to our residential market. Where do you see home builds going? I mean, are we going to stay flat, or is that still going to continue to rise? Or do you think that developers are a little bit scared right now in regards to investing in brand new land development, things like that? What's your thoughts on that?
My answer is probably going to surprise you. I mean, I think if you talk to most people, new construction, we've not built enough new construction over the last 5 to 10 years. It's been underdeveloped. And what I found over the last 2 to 3 weeks in our market that has shocked me is because we have such low inventory, we're selling this number of houses, we're getting this many new listings, is we are having tons of new construction custom deals go together, more than I've ever seen before. And I tend to believe that there continues to be a strong need of new construction. If interest rates stay low, and I almost believe they're forced to stay low, Victor, because we're adding so much debt. Our debt and deficit is out of control. Interest rates get too high, the country can't even afford to service the debt that we have. So I think interest rates will continue to remain low, which gives people great buying power. And because of that, I believe that you're going to continue to see new construction be very strong through this process.
Well, I know all of our residential agents on the line are really happy about that. And I totally agree with you. We were in an inventory shortage here in Southern California, which, in my opinion, artificially pushed the prices up, kept them very high. Things were going above and beyond appraisal values. And now here in California anyway, Southern California anyways, we haven't seen prices dramatically fall due to COVID. We've seen them almost plateau out. Sellers aren't giving the properties away. Some buyers are still thinking that, it's going to fall out. It's going to fall out. And we don't really necessarily know if that's going to happen or not, but it doesn't seem that way, right?
Right.
So we do believe the residential market's going to be strong. Inventory is still low for us here, as I'm sure it's probably for you over there in Omaha,
Yeah.
right? So that's pretty cool. And I just want to, get back to all this, Vince. You touched on leadership, you touched on systems, culture, collaboration. Is there anything you'd like to share with us about maybe not happening this year, but maybe next year, your explosion event you guys do in Omaha?
Yeah, so we have, and I'm on the fence. I keep getting calls daily on whether to. So we've had 3 years in a row an explosion event. It caps out at 200 people, and it's really focused, honestly, for good to top producers. We're not there to train new agents, and I'll have 25 typically top agents from around the country. Gino or Chris Stewart is always there. Alan Dalton has been in here. Debbie DeGroat comes in, so we always bring in some national people, but. It's just a crazy, fast-packed 2 days of coming together, panel after panel, collaboration, idea sharing, breakout sessions of coming together. And so we'll get together at my house one night and have some cocktails and have some fun. But it's really coming together in a crazy, fast-packed action area. Whether it's the keynote speaker or breakout sessions, it's really tons of collaboration where we want to bring people together. I want to say one last thing to you, Victor, before I do get off here, is the one thing that we've really been working on in our organization over the last 1.5 to 2 years that I think is absolutely essential. Studies show in all businesses, consumers today want an easy, simple, stress-free transaction. And I say in our business, we can make that enjoyable and fun. That's a home run. Now, the problem is this is a highly emotional transaction. And a question I was asked when I was speaking to Michigan is, because we're going through all this and we're using technology and all this stuff, is this going to continue? We already have downward pressures on commissions in most parts of the country. I would imagine you guys are in that same boat. Will this continue to devalue us in the marketplace? I said, I don't believe so. I believe it's going to continue to split the sea. We have today, I believe, discount brokers for sell by owners and people that believe the value is what do I get charged? We have brokers like you guys and us that are saying, listen, we're full service brokers, but we understand we've got to add value to justify collecting a higher commission. How do we make this an easy, simple, stress-free transaction for you? And what we have focused on that process is how do we create concierge services, right? What are the things that we can do to add value to remove stress from people's lives in this transaction? Because people will pay a premium if you can make this an enjoyable transaction and take stress away from them. And I've got a couple cheat sheets on concierge services and things like that you can do for people. But if I was you guys, I would really focus in my business, how do I take that thought process and how do I remove that stress from the consumer to make them want to do business with me, to see the value that I'm having and adding to them.
Thanks for that thought, Vince. I hope everybody reflects on that. And collectively as a management team, we actually bring these things up. What can we do to make it easier for our agents? What can we do for our agents to make it easier for their clients, right? And ultimately make sure that the business stays within the Berkshire Hathaway Home Services family, of course. So Vince, I want to thank you for your time today, buddy. Always exciting, always a lot of energy and really great ideas. If you're looking at our chat room right now, our chat room's on fire. Everybody's, talking about, ideas and sharing notes and stuff like that. For those of you who have very specific questions about buyers or sellers, I'm going to reference you back to your management team, okay? They can help you with the objections and different things like that. But, Vince, again, thank you so much for your time. I want to bring in our broker owner, the president, Dennis Rosas here to let us go for the day. And Vince, you and I will text a little bit, okay?
All right, take care, guys.
Hey, Vince, thank you so much, my friend. I'll get a new pair of jeans to see you at the next convention. I maybe will not have the same stage time that you have, but you're well-deserved. Great presentation. Thank you, my friend. Enjoy. Keep up the great work with your company, and thank you for being part of our brand and helping us.
Yeah, you guys stay healthy, stay positive. Let's have a great year. Take care, guys.
Take care, Vince. Everybody stay well. Be productive. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye, guys.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, guys.
Take care. Bye, Amanda.
Bye, Amanda. Bye, Allie. Bye, Susie.
Bye, take everybody's help. Bye.
Thanks for everybody joining. Bye, Sandy Chicarella.
Yes. Hey, Sandy, on her way to Omaha.
And with that said, Quarantine Quiroz is out.
Everybody.
Take care, guys. Bye-bye now.
I can't wait to
Dropping the
see
mic now.
Dennis in a tie-dyed shirt.
Yes, I know. Yes, Bruce is sending me a text now about that.
Have a good day, guys. Bye-bye now.
Take care. All right, bye-bye.